Welcome to the Soul Tribe Podcast. The Soul Tribe Podcast was created to help you navigate through the world of spirituality, wellness, and self-development in an easy, grounded, and relatable way. We break down everything from the Akashic Records, manifesting, spirituality, and so much more. We want to help expand your boundaries and bring the spiritual world to you in a fun and easy way. Get ready to be inspired with tips, tools, and easy to digest information. Let's do this.
Today I wanted to talk about how I got into the Akashic Records, what in life brought me to the point of getting a reading and becoming a reader. And so it was around 11 years ago that I started to have dream premonitions. These dream premonitions were, in the beginning, to me, they were just dreams. It felt like a very heavy dream where I would wake up feeling exhausted. You usually go to sleep and you wake up, in the beginning, maybe you're tired, but then after a while you feel refreshed, you rested. When I had a night with a dream premonition, I would wake up feeling like I had spent the whole time running a marathon. I would feel exhausted. I would feel like I hadn't slept at all, and I would feel like I would need to go back to sleep for the rest of the day. There was a bunch of indicators emotionally and physically that would let me know that it wasn't just a dream. It took me maybe a few months to pick up on that, because in the beginning it was just a heavy dream and I was exhausted, and I just thought, okay, that's weird. But it was one of the first. After repetition, I started realizing, wait, these dreams don't feel like dreams. They feel like I'm almost living it. They feel exhausting. I would be emotionally very tired. I would be mentally constantly thinking about them. I would remember every detail of that dream. I would remember where the airplane was. I could even pinpoint the area where I was seeing it fall, if it was falling or crashing. I couldn't figure out what airline it was. I wouldn't see airline logos. I would just see kind of like one color airplane. But I could get a sense of the impact, how the airplane was going to have its accident, what was going to happen. I would see it. I would see the process of the accident from the outside, and then I would find out, more than figure out, find out that I would have a feeling that the people in the airplane hadn't made it or not. And that's kind of the indicator that gave me details. Like, it would happen, I would see it happen. I would know what region in the world it happened, because I saw various in different places. But I would know, and around what region. Usually I would know around which country, or I would know, it's going to be in South America, down like southeast, or that's kind of how I would figure it out. Like, it's almost like I was being taken, like GPS wise, I'd be taken to a spot, right? I'd be shown the spot, the general spot. And I would know if there were survivors, or if they were, the fatality was 100%. And so after a few dreams, and then I realized that, wait, that's really weird. The first few, I was like, I swear that was my dream. But I was like, no. Like everybody else, you try to make sense of things in the world because we're very mental, and we don't, it just seems crazy to think that I had a dream about that. And then, it's a complete coincidence. Second one, complete coincidence. Third one, that's when I started going, what? No. After the third one, I started paying attention and looking into it, right? I would see the details and I would be attentive. And I realized, my calculations made me realize that the moment of the dream, when I would wake up around a week to a week and a half, that's when it would materialize, is the word that they made me feel. It was materializing somehow. It was a weird feeling, but I wasn't happy about it. I was very upset about it because I had felt grief. I was feeling grief for those that were on the airplane, and I felt awful. What am I supposed to do? Something? Am I supposed to report this to someone? I'm thinking I'll end up in jail. They'll think that I they'll think that I had something to do with it. I can't report this. And so it was a very mental thought process. After the exhaustion of the dream itself, it was exhaustion of the mental part of, why am I having these dreams? What am I going to do with this? How I can actually save people. Maybe I can do something about this. But it carried on. I did nothing about it out of fear that I would be seen as crazy, out of fear that I was going to, say it to the wrong person, and that person would report something that I maybe was a part of, or they'd believe somehow that I was a part of it, even though I knew I wasn't. It was just all fear. Everything was fear for me. And so it began with fear, and then it ended in complete anxiety, because then I knew that it would happen. And then I'd wake up from a dream, and it would be, oh no, not again, to the point where I would just completely try to avoid the news. I would try, like, if someone in my house would switch on the news, I'd walk out of the room. I would try not to find out about it. But at the time, I was a student pilot. I became a private pilot in that process. So it was really hard not to find out about aviation accidents, because my fellow classmates were talking about it. They also didn't know about my dreams. I felt I shouldn't tell them. They're going to think I'm crazy. And so I didn't. In the beginning. I didn't tell anybody until I ended up confiding in my mom and my sister. And then I would call them after I'd wake up one day from the dream, be like, I had another one. I'm really upset. And I would cry and I would vent. And I didn't know what to do. And they didn't know what to tell me to do. This was new territory for all of us. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know what it meant. And we were all kind of like, this is crazy. No, this isn't happening. And this carried on for 3 years. For 3 years, after a year and a half, it was just complete anxiety of avoiding the news, complete anxiety of the dream that I had. And the breaking point for me was towards the end of the 3 years. I had the dream of one accident where the first time ever I was brought into the aircraft. I was brought into where all the passengers were sitting, and I saw the faces of fear and panic and pain. Everything. I saw all the emotions. I saw everything, the adrenaline, it was just complete panicking. And I didn't want that one. I didn't want that one to come true, because it was so awful. It became the next level, seeing these beings going through that moment in their life, the last moments in their life. That's what that was. And I saw the whole thing. And I woke up and said, that's it. If this doesn't end, I'm ending my life. I'm done with this. I cannot keep having these dreams and seeing these people die. That's exactly how I was seeing it at the time. And so I again called my mom, and complete emotional breakdown. And my mom did all she could to try to help me. She said, well, there's this astrologer on the radio and he talks. I'm going to see if I can get his contact, see if he has any advice. Hang in there, I'm going to get something for you, something spiritual, something that will help. We'll figure this out. And between that, it was about a week where the accident did happen, and I was in complete panic mode. Between that time, also, my mom managed to get the contact of the astrologer who does astrology charts. So he kind of calculates your year coming, depending on when you were born, where you were born, what time you were born, all those details. And so I called him up and I gave him my details, and I booked a meeting with him. And I went into his office, and I didn't care about what he had to say about my year, even though he had, that's his job. He would create manuals, and you would take a printed copy, almost like a booklet of your year. And I walked in and I said, this is great. Thank you for this booklet. I'm going to pay you for this session, but I want you to tell me, what can I do with this? Where can I go? Can you help me with this? Can you help me figure this out? And his advice to me was, you got to go get an Akashic Records reading. That's going to help you. Like, there's nothing else I can think of that will help you more than that. And then aside from that, he obviously went through my information with me from the chart he made, because that's his work. That's what he's good at, and that's what he does. And he didn't really have a contact for the Akashic Records. He knew that it existed, and he knew at the time that it was a thing. And he made a promise to contact me as soon as he had it, but it was going to be difficult for him to find at the time. it was something kind of new coming up in South America, and so we couldn't find someone right away. When we finally did find someone, this had been a few more months after that. I went, and when I went into that Akashic Records reading, I went into it with two big questions. I had written down my questions just like they ask you, and of course I had other questions, but my big questions, the main questions that I had underlined and I had written real big is, why am I having these dreams, and what can I do to make them stop? And I went into it thinking that they were going to give me this like very, earthy explanation, this very, oh, well, just do this and then it's, done. Or, oh, just, yeah, it happened because of this. Or, yeah, you have dream premonitions, just ask for them to go away and they'll go away. I don't know. I thought it was going to be very simple. I thought it was going to be very earthy. I wasn't very spiritually profound at the time. And so I walked in with that attitude, a non-profound, spiritually profound attitude. Also, I was very angry at the world. I was a very angry person when I walked into that session with the reader who was going to read my Akashic Records. I was angry with the world, and I think it was because I was having these dreams, and I was upset about it, and I was mad about it, and it was making me angry with everyone around me, including my family and my friends and everything. And so I walk in, and when I ask about the dreams, she says to me that the information she was receiving, the masters had said, well, we're just letting you know that you can utilize your brain for something else other than just thinking. And I thought, what? That was my reaction. I was just very confused about it. I'm like, what? You're giving me these dreams to make me realize that I can use my brain, my head, for something else other than just thinking. And I'm like, well, that's in my mind, obviously, in my profoundly spiritual mind, I thought, but that's what the brain is, a thinking tool. And so it didn't click. It didn't click right away for me because I had a lot of growing and I had a lot of learning and I had a lot of seeing to do. But that wasn't my wake up call. And so the one thing that they did say to me that made me go, oh, okay, was that's your wake up call. We send individuals wake up calls. And some people will get it in the form of a sickness. Some people will get it in the form of, someone close to them passing away. Some will get it through like a really bad car accident, for example, right? And they'll make it through it, and that will be like their wake up call. And those dreams were my wake up call. But the other thing that I ended up talking about in the session with the reader was how I was taking it the wrong way, how I was actually helping these beings go through their contract, their soul contract. They had planned this. This was part of their life. They had planned to go through that at some point in their life. At the end, obviously, they had planned that they were going to go on that aircraft and they were going to have that accident and they were going to leave this incarnation in this body at that time in that way. And I was just, somehow my energy levels with the dream were helping it materialize. And again, the word materialize kept coming up for me. And that I was only seeing as death, and that I had to take a look. I had to re-look at the angle of what I was seeing death as. And that was something that took me years. I think it took me about two more years to figure out that I was looking at death as like the termination, total termination of everything, that person's life and everything that had to do with that person. And I didn't take into consideration, which is something that later on down the line, the Akashic Records taught me to believe and feel, is that your soul moves on to its next evolution, its next step, its next plan. And that previous plan, that previous contract, that's the termination of it. It's not death. It's the beginning of a new chapter for that soul. But that perspective, change perspective, that's when my anger towards the world, my internal anger that was externalizing, that's how I found out that I was angry. I realized that I was angry at everyone in the world around me because I was seeing these situations and I thought they were unfair and that all these individuals deserved better. And why am they showing me all these unfair situations? And then when I realized that it wasn't the termination of the being, the 100% of the being, then I started feeling a bit better about it. And my anger kind of uplifted and went away. And I started seeing the world differently. And the other advice I'd been given in the Akashic Records reading that day when I was sitting there, which I remember in detail of the room and the reader and how I was sitting down and how I was feeling, it was a life-changing moment for me. Everything that was going on in that room for me was just the beginning of a total new path for me and a total new me. And I remember she had verbalized that the best way for me to get rid of the dreams was to learn to read my own Akashic Records, because I would be utilizing my brain for something other than thinking. It was to communicate with something higher than myself, or something divine. I said, okay, great, sign me up. Give me the class. Let's get there. Let's do it. And that's where it began. There's 3 levels in the Akashic Records, and I began my level 1, which is learning to read my own Akashic Records. And at the end of Akashic Records level 1, when I finished my, class, and you had to do your next prep work to get ready and be fully on the level 1. When I finished that, I said, take me to the level 2. That's it. I'm ready to help others. I feel so amazing. I feel so enlightened. I feel so connected. The best thing about the Akashic Records was I no longer felt alone. I felt connected to something higher than myself. I knew that I wasn't alone anymore. And I wanted everyone else to feel the same way. And so I did level 2, and that's when I started assisting others in their Akashic Records. And level 3 I did because I just wanted to get to the maximum of the Akashic Records levels, because I wanted to learn as much as possible, because I was so interested in it. It was helping me out so much. And level 3 is the mastery, where you get to teach others. You learn to teach others to read their own Akashic Records and to read others' Akashic Records. And so here I am. I've been doing it for 8 years now. And level 1 was great. I got to assist myself. There is a level of challenge, because your ego, in the beginning, it's really hard to control your ego. Your ego wants to hear what it wants to hear. And it's hard for your own ego not to get into your own readings when you're doing your own reading. But when I did level 2, and what the teachers had taught us was, level 2 teaches you more than level 1. Because when you assist someone else, you get all these aha moments when you hear them say things to them. And you see what other people feel. And you talk to other people about their problems and their feelings. And you realize we all have the same problems. And we all go through the same thing. We all have the same feelings, just maybe in different moments in our life. But you find that as a reader, you get people coming to you to get read that might have something going on in their life that's very similar to what's going on in your life. And you'll get a message to give to them. And that message will have a side message for you sometimes, even, because you'll be like, oh, that makes sense to me too, actually. Let me think about that after this reading. And so it's great. You get to help others, but also feel more connected while you're helping others. I come out of the reading feeling amazing and feeling great because I helped someone, but I come out of the reading feeling almost like high energy, because they're connecting with you and the person that you're reading. So you come out of the reading feeling connected and high energy and great and amazing, and you come out of it feeling like you appreciate things around you a little bit more. And for a long time, I just did this as a side thing, almost like I had my job, I was working on what I wanted at the time, what I thought I wanted at the time as a career, and reading was just my side thing. It was because I thought that it was my need to help others. And so I didn't really promote myself. I didn't go out and make a website. I didn't go out and speak a lot about it. The people that were close to me were the ones that knew. And that's kind of how the word got out. And that person would talk to their friend and their friend, their friend. And so that's how people started passing away my number, but that was the only way they could reach me. And so at one point I said, well, I should make it a little bit easier. If I really want to help people, I should make it a little bit easier and create a Facebook page. So that's what I did. That was my next step. And then I left it at that for a while. But now I realize that I keep getting more, readings, and I keep feeling better and better. And I keep realizing how many people have been helped with the readings. And I thought, why am I going to keep doing jobs that don't help people, like a normal job, right? When I can do this, and while I'm living from this, I can be helping people. And yeah, that's my new step. I've also started learning to teach people. I'm trying to find a better program. I'm going through the process of teaching slowly, one student at a time, and trying to find the perfect way to teach them, because I feel like teaching is a whole nother step, and I need to gain my new confidence in that. But it took me, 8 years to feel like I was ready to teach. And so I'm respecting myself and slowly getting there. But between thinking about this, I kept getting people asking me if I was going to teach, and it was them pushing me. It was my masters pushing me, telling me, okay, it's time for the next level. It's been a while. It's been a few years. It's time for you to go to the next level and start giving the tools to others to teach, right? To teach them to do it too. This also coincided with my sister wanting to also get to level 2. She was a level 1 for a very long time, so she did her own Akashic Records, and she realized that she wanted to do it. And we would start calling each other, and we would compare notes about, how amazing, how messages come through. How do you feel it? And how do I feel it? And how do you see the messages? And how do you get the information? And it was just, these really nice calls, just talking about the Akashic Records. And then we had this moment where we're like, why don't we just start talking about it, and that other people can hear about it, so that they can become aware about it, and they can maybe hear things that might help them in their life. And they don't have to get a reading just to be awakened. They can also listen to things and start realizing that there's something more out there than just a physical body and a mental brain, right? And so the Soul Tribe podcast was mentally created, energetically created. We made the decision that we were going to create a podcast where we had a space to talk about our paths and what the Akashic Records is, what they've done for people, and we want to talk about everything spiritual and everything awakening. And we really don't have a limit to what we want to talk about. We just know what kind of vibration we want, and we know that we want it to be conversations that help. And so now the Soul Tribe podcast will be beginning. We'll be talking about the Akashic Records. And on the side, we will continue to help people with our readings. And we hope that others appreciate our conversations. And we hope that others are entertained by our conversations. And we want to bring people into the conversations. So we're really happy that this has begun. And I can't wait to start one-on-one conversations with my sister, and recording them and sharing with all you guys. Thank you so much. And I also always thank the masters and the beings of light for all the wake-up calls they've ever given me, all the opportunities to grow that they've given me, and that they continue to grow with me, and I grow with them. And now my sister's added to the equation, so everything feels perfect. Everything feels right. Everything feels like it's on its path. And that's exactly what the Akashic Records are for. They're here to put you on your path and make you see things when you need to see them, and feel things when you need to feel them, and be your path, not what other people expect of you, just what you came here to do. Be your best self.
Thank you all for tuning into this episode. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did and got something out of it. We would love to connect with everybody, so be sure to follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is @soul_tribe_podcast. See you all on the next episode.